हम बीच में nice of first one. Next time you have it done. He said not enough. Yes, which you call that direct. Yes. Yeah, he was there. He was the subsequently later on Babs also there. Yes, yes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Director General, Ambassador Sujan R. Chinoy, I, Shruti Pandale, a fellow here, welcome you all to the Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defense Studies and Analysis. Today, under our eminent party government of the Islamic Republic of
members of the Afghan delegation our institute today. We are very fortunate to have in our midst Dr. Abdullah, an eminent statesman from our close and friendly neighbor, Afghanistan. Excellency, we are truly looking forward to your special address this afternoon, especially at a time when the intra-Afghan peace process has reached a very critical juncture. Friends, peace with itself of goals and aspirations. It augurs well that the regional and international community is ready to lend a helping hand in accordance with the priorities established by the people of Afghanistan. India, on its part, has reiterated its conviction at the maiden round of the intra-Afghan dialogue that the peace process across the country and its neighborhood has to be effectively addressed. We in India believe that Afghanistan has a right to forge its own destiny and realize its fullest potential. Above all, the peace process brooks no external interference. India, on its part, respects the will of the people of Afghanistan, whatever it is that they choose. Has come at a very opportune moment, and you've had good discussions with the leadership of India. Your visit further cements the close bonds that exist between India and Afghanistan, and these ties have stood the test of time. India has played an important role as a major development partner of Afghanistan, executing more than Afghanistan's reconstruction process. Recently, the COVID pandemic has caused global disruptions in trade, travel, tourism, technology, and supply chains. In the prevailing geostrategic atmosphere, both trade and technology are being increasingly weaponized. Multi-alignment is overtaking multilateralism. Yet, one cannot overemphasize the importance of coherent regional cooperation in overcoming the lacuna that is to be seen in global governance systems as well as in national capacities, especially in healthcare. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India has taken proactive steps to reinvigorate the regional and global response through its initiatives in the SAARC as well as in the G20. While the world is riveted on the pandemic, it cannot be blind to terrorism, that great scourge that continues to afflict our region. As Prime Minister Narendra Modi said in his recent address to the United Nations General Assembly, terrorism is one of the biggest challenges, not for any single country, but for the entire world and humanity. That is why, as he put it, it is absolutely imperative that the world unites against terrorism and that the world stands as one against terrorism. Your Excellency, the Indian people wish you well as you go about discharging your onerous duty as the Chairman of the High Council of National Reconstruction of Afghanistan. We understand the arduous road to peace will require infinite patience, perseverance, political will, and wise leadership to ensure a successful outcome. In you, we see that reservoir of wisdom that is so necessary to reconcile contradictions in Afghan society and to arrive at a durable consensus. You have amply proved your mettle in your various previous roles as the Minister of Foreign Affairs and as the CEO, now as the Chairman of the High Council of National Reconstruction. The hopes and expectations of the people of Afghanistan, as well as those of the regional and international community, rest on your shoulders. As a physician, you have a natural healing touch. and we are confident that you will succeed in fulfilling your noble mission. It is our cherished hope that a sovereign and independent Afghanistan should one day regain its historical importance as a regional hub for trade and connectivity. It is our dream that its economy should one day have the fullest liberty without let or hindrance to connect with markets and supply chains in South Asia, especially with India. With these words, I once again warmly welcome His Excellency Dr. Abdullah to our institute. And through your visit, Your Excellency, we hope to deepen our engagement with the strategic community in Afghanistan. I now request Dr. Abdullah to deliver his special address and to share with us his vision of the future of Afghanistan. Thank you very much. Tashakkur.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Director General, Ambassador Chinoy, distinguished colleagues, good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for inviting us here, and I'm delighted to see many friends of Afghanistan faces who have worked with us in the past few decades here today in this gathering. I'm on an official visit to India. This is the third day of our visit. Already, as yourself mentioned, I had my meetings with His Excellency Prime Minister Narendra Modi, NSA, Mr. Ajit Doval, and other colleagues. And we will have further meetings tomorrow and the day after tomorrow before going back to Afghanistan. Here in New Delhi, in India, with me is our delegation, my deputy, the High Council for Relation, senior members of the High Council with me, and it's obvious that being in India, a friendly country, friend of Afghanistan, or forever, I don't have to remind the government of our people and contributed to the well-being of our people in many fields of life. We are grateful for your support. And equally important is your principled position in support of Afghanistan, or the Afghanistan, or the end state that the people of Afghanistan would like to see materialized, a peaceful country, peaceful within and without, a democratic country, a country which is friend with the neighborhood and beyond, and prosperity and connectivity in the region and beyond, and also preserves the rights of its own citizens, women in particular, minorities, the values which is values for humanity, liberties, freedoms, rights, and that's what has strengthened our bonds of friendship even further. In our journey in the past 2 decades, many countries have helped us. Many countries have contributed, and many countries have made sacrifices alongside our own people. And India has been amongst those lead countries in this regard. I'm here to say that we have the past for inspiration, but we know that now we have a chance to also look at the future, a future with dividends from peace and stability. I'll get to the negotiations which are underway in Doha, and while traveling in the region. I have tried to keep myself updated by hour, if not more often, about what is going on there, and it's important. I'm old enough to remember that Afghanistan was peaceful. It was, despite the tensions, still we enjoyed higher degree of connectivity, trade, transit, peoples to peoples relation, and all types of exchanges. We might have been on the trail for tourism and tourists, but no one had to worry about terrorism at that time. That changed more than 40 years back when Afghanistan was invaded. And the rest is history. We now have a chance to rebuild a new region, deeper ties, and wider connectivity. We can all work towards restoring peace and stability in Afghanistan. As you know, for the first time after 42 years, we are looking at the light at the end of the tunnel, the long tunnel of war in Afghanistan. It will not be easy to reach it because we have to make sure that it is the right light in the right tunnel, a more robust counterterrorism agenda, where regional and global cooperation, more investment in areas that are of interest and produce win-win results, more trade and connectivity to boost our economies, and more people-to-people contacts. To make sure that we are taking all precautions, making sure that we have the Afghan people on board and we consult widely. We want their expectations to be met regarding security, development, human and gender rights, pluralism, and particularly a participatory system, while assuring good relations with our friends in region. Like India, Afghanistan is a multi-ethnic, multilingual, pluralistic, and heterogeneous society. We need a system that works for all segments of society and can embrace all views and beliefs. We also want to develop and be educated and prosper our majority youth and war-affected demand. Like you, we have experienced the painful stress of war and displacement. So like you and many others around the world, we deserve a better future and better prospects. In 2001, 2002, we laid the groundwork for a new Afghanistan in the post-9/11 world. As I mentioned earlier, India was one of the first countries to help us before and after that period, and to help us stand on our own feet. And we are indebted to your generosity. But the war prevented us from realizing all our potentials. We are paying a very high price for peace. After 19 years, in no military solution in sight, we need to take part of dialogue in negotiations towards an inclusive political system. We are counting on your support, your understanding, and your continued friendship for a better future between our two nations and our greater region. During my discussions with Indian leadership here, we were energized and re-energized that the leadership here is supportive of the efforts of the people of Afghanistan, the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, for achieving peace, dignified, durable, sustainable peace. And the principle of the principles that you have laid the foundation of your foreign policy towards the future of our country Afghan-led, Afghan-owned, and Afghan welcomed by our people system. External Affairs Minister, His Excellency Jay Shen, addressed the inaugural meeting and negotiations in Doha and expressed his support for the efforts of the Afghan people, which we are thankful for that. I mentioned earlier the support that you have rendered towards us in the past 20 years in many ways, and before that. And also, I want to express our gratitude and appreciation for your support in terms of connectivity projects, which are important, not just for Afghanistan, not just for India, not just for Central Asia, but all regions, South and Central Asia, in Afghanistan altogether. Your support for TAPI project, Chabahar, all will help the future of peoples of our region. And coming to the focus of my mission now as the chairman of the High Commission, Doha has started, talks continues, and personally I would have preferred more speed, or more pace to the talks, but as we all know that to start talking to one another and facing one another while we had only faced one another in the battlefield in the past 3 decades, it's in itself it's a historic occasion. Meanwhile, as the chair of the council, on behalf of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, I can assure our friends here that we are fully determined and committed for a peaceful settlement. As I mentioned in the inaugural speech in Doha, there is no military solution, there is no winner in a war, and there is no loser in an inclusive, peaceful settlement. That's the opportunity in front of us. In our will, both sides' will and determination will be put to test. Prior to the start of negotiations, we released 5,000 in our prisons, and those were charged with. Those were people with heavy burden on their shoulders, and that helped the start of negotiations. It requires patience. It requires, first and foremost, it requires the intention, the will, and the determination, and the commitment. That is the start of it. And then with the continuation of it, it requires patience, it requires flexibility, it requires understanding one another's constraints, in all of that. Our delegation there is committed to these principles, and they have gone there with that spirit, and they will continue with that spirit. And one of the issues which is a cause of concern for our people, it has been a cause of concern, is the continuation of the high level of violence. Well, the talks continues. Unfortunately, the violence subsided. That is one serious concern for our people. Hopefully, we will get to some understanding in that regard. And then the future of the country. Yes, there are a lot of factors involved in the region and beyond, international factors. The United States, there are timetables, there's elections in the United States take place. Issues related to that. But at the peaceful settlement more than at any other place than it is amongst the people who have suffered in the past 42 years, who have missed a lot of opportunities and don't want to miss further opportunities, and want to start putting an end to the agony of the nation. That is there. The absolute majority of our people are supportive of peace in the same way that they are committed to the values that they have made sacrifices for. Yes, we will overnight. My ideas or the ideas of our own fellow citizens, those who believe in those common principles, will not turn like Taliban ideas, or Taliban will not accept the principles that we believe in it and way of life that we want our people to have the option for it. They will have their own ideas. And if we could get a stage where both sides, while maintaining those ideas and hopefully learning and see evolutions or a common understanding how to live in peace within one sovereign, independent country, which is not a threat to its own citizens or to the neighborhood or any other country, while contesting for materializing our ideas peacefully. When yourself in your introductory remarks mentioned about rounds of elections in Afghanistan, that in itself serves as an example. We have differences. We have at times the elections have been challenging, but at the same time, when we claim that it is for the people, for the interests of the people, we should put the interests of the people above the other things. And that in itself, in our modern history, that can serve as an example. So that's the instinct that we want to achieve. People with different ideas, sometimes very different. I will not get into the giving examples of that, but we have seen it, we have experienced that. Living in one territory, under one system, which works for all, at the same time being allowed freely to exercise their rights, including contesting in the elections, but only through peaceful means, not through use of violence, not through resorting to terrorist actions or allowing terrorists to take advantage of the situation. That is what we are aiming for. And for some of our members of the delegation, this was the first time, a few of them, but most of them had visited India before as well. They are familiar with the values that this nation is adhering to, adheres to, and with a friendly attitude of your people and the support that you have given. You mentioned the COVID-19, which hit all of us. Thanks God that in our case, in spite of the fact that we did have fatality, we did have cases, and we do have cases still, and we are also worried about the second phase, but it didn't hit us as hard as it hit other nations. You have also suffered in arson with all those families who have lost their family members as a result of this. Even there, you helped our people which were stranded here because all the flights were disrupted and the whole thing which came with it. You're helping us, which we are grateful for that. I myself, mentioning about the ties, one of the programs which is business to business is the Passage to Prosperity. In 2018, I had participated there as chief executive. And then I made a firm commitment that I'll participate in the next one, which was December 2019. Perhaps I had not said inshallah, and it didn't happen. But the event took place. That was like in the midst of our election issues, so it was not advisable for me to leave the country. But this is the example of ideals that in early days we were only thinking about it if it could materialize. And a lot of people have benefited from it. The potentials in a peaceful Afghanistan, in a friendly Afghanistan towards its own neighborhood, free of a scourge of terrorism, you can only imagine how could that be, and would that be? While in spite of the continuation of the war, there are huge opportunities for investment, for trade, for commerce, for connectivity, and all of it together. While thanking you again for inviting us here, I'll move to the easier part of our session, which is Q&A. Provided that the distinguished colleagues will make it easy for me. But please, thank you. Shall I come back?
Thank you, Your Excellency, for a very candid, for your very candid remarks, and of course, very thought-provoking comments, and your recognition of India as such a long-standing friend and partner. Now, I request Director General Ambassador Sujan R. Chinoy to carry on the session with the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Dr. Abdullah, for that very enlightening and thought-provoking address, which leaves us all with a deep hope for the future. In fact, it leaves us also with a sense of confidence that the future will be very bright for the people of Afghanistan. And your contributions will be, above all, instrumental in reaching that goal. Friends, we have about 20 to 25 minutes for a Q&A session, and I would request people to give me a show of their hand so that I can call upon you to pose your question. Please introduce yourself in terms of your name or rank or affiliation, and please keep it confined to the briefest of questions. Please avoid long comments so that we have more time for the distinguished chief guest to address you.
I prefer it the other way around.
That's what we might call burden sharing. In the first round, I intend to take 3 questions, and the second round will also be 3 questions, so that will give you enough, so to speak, meat to put on the bones. I must begin, if you don't mind, with Ambassador Gautam Mukhopadhyay, former envoy himself to your great country. And so, Ambassador Mukhopadhyay. I will then turn to Admiral Shekhar Sinha, who is an esteemed member of our Executive Council.
Excellency Dr. Abdullah, wonderful to see you again.
Please use your mic, please. Switch it on, yes. And into the mic, please. Yes, thank you.
Wonderful to see you again, Excellency Dr. Abdullah, and thank you for your very warm sentiments expressed towards India today. Let me also join Director General in wishing you and extending you a very, very warm welcome to your second home, and to also, welcome your delegation, many of whom perhaps are coming to India for the first time, and particularly sort of express our confidence in the great and responsible role that has been entrusted on you at this point of time. And we know that you have the maturity and wisdom to be able to handle this. Excellency, of course, throughout your talks with our leadership, as well as the sentiments that have been expressed by Ambassador Chinoy, as well as Ambassador Jain Prasad the other day in an article, you know very well that India fully stands behind all efforts for peace in Afghanistan and wishes the peace process all success. I don't think we have any doubt about that. And at the back of the mind, of course, people of India, well-wishers of Afghanistan, are also concerned that while the US has decided to pull, we do not see any reduction in support of violence and the safe havens in Pakistan on the part of Pakistan. So there is some concern about how the peace process will process while one side has withdrawn from the battlefield, but another side continues to support provide the support from the back. But essentially, I'm not so concerned about that. I think you said that we would like the questions to be a bit friendly, so I won't ask you delicate questions about the future, which might be a little awkward for you to speak on right now. I would just like to ask a question a little on the past. It has been more than 10 years since the London conference, that the international community and Afghanistan have made all efforts to achieve a kind of start a peace process, talking to the Taliban directly through secret channels, talking through the Pakistani government, talking through the Pakistani army. What is it that has changed now that Pakistan to some extent has helped kickstart the US Taliban deal, and now that you're sitting together finally? Do you think that there is a change in the attitude of Pakistan in the peace process, and is the peace process likely to succeed? And similarly, is there a change in the attitude of the on the basis of what you have been able to discern so far? And once again, Abdullah, a warm welcome to India, and we wish the peace process greatest success.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will now turn to Admiral Shekhar Sinha. Excellency, great to see you again, apart from a number of conferences of India Foundation that you have spoken in the past. Thank you very much. That was a very enlightening talk. It might surprise you that, being a naval guy, what is he talking about Afghanistan? The first time I gave this Chabahar talk was in the Afghan Institute of Strategic Studies in Pas province. I'm not going to give a very long sort of question, easier one. How do you see this the present geopolitical changes which are taking place in Iran? How much impact do you see happening on the Chabahar project and its further connectivity with the other parts of Afghanistan, and not only the Dalaram road? Will there be some more entry into the further up north into the Afghanistan, or do you see this your business people are encouraged to see this SCZ which has come up which is coming up in Chabahar? What is your view on that? Thank you very much, Admiral Sinha. I will take one more question before I turn over to our honored guest. Anyone else? So let me finish this flank first, the left flank. Dr. Ashok Behuria.
Your Excellency, I'm Ashok Behuria. I work here in IDSA. I follow events in Afghanistan very closely. A couple of days back, we found people like Hikmat Yar and others. They have a lot of misgivings about Indian intentions. And when you plan to reconcile contradictory forces, how do you envision a role for India in the upcoming setup that you have in mind in Kabul? Because we understand that there are elements who have a lot of misunderstandings about the way India is approaching Afghanistan. This is my question number one. Number two is, could you please dwell a little on the inter-ethnic relationship within Afghanistan and what implication it has for the reconciliation efforts that you are undertaking at the moment?
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, would you care to address these three questions?
Thank you, Ambassador. Good to see you. You served Afghanistan at a time that situation was slightly different than today, but like your predecessors and successors, you represented the foreign policy of a friendly country in support of our people. We were grateful for that. And what has changed and what has not changed? That was that has been the topic of my discussions here as well when I visited the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Do we believe at all that there is a military solution to that? That's one. Next to that, aren't we already missed a lot of opportunities for our people? The answer to the first part is no, there is no military solution. And if anybody thinks, for example, there is a thinking amongst the Taliban that the United States will withdraw from Afghanistan, which they will eventually, and then they will take advantage of that situation, and then take Afghanistan back to the 3 decades back. They may be able to take advantage of the situation temporarily, but it will not. They will not be able to impose their rule upon the people of Afghanistan by force. That's a reality. But there is one lesson in our recent history, is that one side cannot impose its own will upon the nation by force, by using force and violence. The answer to the next question, haven't we missed already a lot of opportunities in the past? It's not just Afghanistan, but our region. The answer to that is yes. We could have reached heights beyond the thing that we could think today, had it not been for the continuation of the conflict in the war, and also taking advantage of that situation in Afghanistan. So when it is our common belief that there is no military solution, we should see what each side could do in terms of materialize that vision. And in terms of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, we have taken major steps. I mentioned the example of exchange of prisoners, like some 5,000 Taliban were exchanged for nearly 1,000 members of our national defense and security forces. That was a major step on behalf of the Islamic Republic. The fact that countries are saying that there is no military solution, the fact that countries are saying that the peace in Afghanistan means peace in their own, peace in the region. And I thought, in my role as the chair of the High National Reconciliation, I should also assure all the countries around Afghanistan that Afghanistan should not be and will not be a country which goes in threat against any of its neighbors, or harboring any terrorist group which would be a threat to our own citizens or to the others. Because if there is one lesson in the past 30 years or 40 years, the groups which are resorting to terrorist actions, they have not served any country's legitimate interest, and will not serve any country's legitimate. At the end of the day, they have their own agenda. They will turn against any country at any time. That's also there. So, like, talking to the leadership in Pakistan, military and civilian, I was encouraged. It was a while since I had not visited Pakistan, and then this was my first visit as the chair of the council. And then we will have to work together. And I have no doubt in my mind that there is a lot at stake in positive way, in positive manner for every country into this. So that's as far as I can elaborate in regards to your question. And nevertheless, that we also missed opportunities, like as Afghans, our international partners also made mistakes at times. But today, it's those lessons are there to learn from, rather than to get stuck in it and move on. So hopefully we have all learned the right lessons. Mr. Sena, you referred to the different part of aspect of our situation, which is regional connectivity in Chabahar, the importance of that. We are not we are not oblivious to the challenges which exist around Afghanistan and also in relations between different countries or amongst different countries. We are living in this world, in this with this dynamisms which keeps changing from time to time, but at time it's also persistent. And Chabahar is an opportunity for Afghanistan, for the Islamic Republic of Iran, for South Asia, for Central Asia. And beyond that. And but also because of the other factors, which Afghanistan is not a party to that, or part of those factors, it can get affected. Iran's relations with the rest of the international community, the Islamic Republic of Iran's relations with the rest of the international community affects those possibilities. And meanwhile, I have to reiterate that the Islamic Republic of Iran is supportive of the peace process, while they are having their own challenges otherwise, but they are supporting the peace process. In Dr. Ashok Baharia, misunderstandings will exist, will continue to be there, but at the same time, in regards to Mr. Hikmatyar, I should say one thing. He opted to settle peacefully through negotiations, direct negotiations, and that part, that decision of his, I have appreciated, because like you decide after a while that you don't continue with war and find a way to be there. His grievances towards the government, the current situation, his grievances and ideas, some of them might not change easily. But it's my role is to work with all those players which have opted for peaceful settlement, to rally the forces behind the support for the peace process. That's my role. It's not easy. It's complicated, but there is no other way but to do so. One added point was that is there a change, like amongst the Taliban attitude? We hope that there is a change. The talks are slow. Time spent was necessary, but perhaps could have been better spent so far. But we are at the beginning of it, and then eventually the people of Afghanistan and the whole international community will see who is really committed, what has changed, what has not changed, and I lay my hope in the optimistic way of looking at it, and hopefully this will be.
Very much, Your Excellency. I will now invite another round of 3 questions, hopefully from Frank. So, ladies, gentlemen, anyone wishes to? Yes, you, sir, at the back, in the back row there. please introduce yourself, name, affiliation, and then the question.
محمد شینواری د افغانستان ملي ټلویزیون خبريال پوښتنه ډاکټر صاحب په دې توګه ده چې په سیمه کې غیر سالمه سیالي روانه ده او د ټولو هڅه ده چې افغانستان د دغې غیر سالمې سیالۍ مرکز وګرځي. د افغانستان د سولې په تړاو باندې هم د سیمې د هیوادونو د ګاونډیو د هیوادونو هغه لیدلوری مختلف دی. سیمې ته ستاسې سفرونه پیل شوي دي څو د افغانستان د سولې لپاره د ملي اجماع د پیاوړتیا لپاره د سیمې د هیوادونو توجه جلب کړي، همکاري جلب کړي. د دغه لیدلوري د موحد کېدو لپاره ستاسې سفرونه څومره مهم دي او تاسې څومره په دغه برخه کې کار کړی دی چې د سیمې هیوادونه یو د بل د افغانستان د سولې په روانه پروسه کې اندېښمن نه اوسېږي. دویمه خبره دا ده چې د سولې سره موازي په افغانستان کې جنګ او تاوتریخوالي هم زور اخیستی دی. په خپله ستاسې هر قدم ته د افغانستان د خلکو سترګې دي او هیلې دي او وایي چې د مصالحې عالي شورا د افغانستان حکومت د سولې د روانې پروسې د پیاوړتیا لپاره هلې ځلې کوي. په داسې حال کې چې ستاسې د قدمونو د اخیست کېدو سره ستاسې د هلو ځلو سره جګړه زور اخلي. په قطر کې روانې خبرې، سیمې ته ستاسې سفرونه، د افغان حکومت هڅې، د نړیوالو همکاري ولې په روانه تاوتریخوالي باندې اثر نه کوي، اغېزه نه کوي، مستقیما دغه تاوتریخوالي نه راکموي؟ ډېره زیات مننه.
I will translate that myself and then address it.
Shall I take one or two more questions?
Yes, of course, of course.
Yes, please. First, the Afghan guest. I assume you're from Afghanistan. Yes, sir. You're there.
Thanks a lot. This is Mustafa from Afghanistan. Just I have a question from Abdullah. And my question is about the withdrawal of American forces from Afghanistan. We heard that today Trump said about that at the end of this year they would withdraw all of their troops. What do you think? That's the time for the withdrawal of the American troops or not?
And I'll also request, I saw the hand go up there. Madam Maihan Saili, please. Yes, please. Did you want to ask a question?
The name is
Oh, all right. I got the name wrong.
لاویتا چې کنه شبو ده خاطر مهرباني.
ډېر زیاته مننه. ډاکټر صاحب ما پوښتنه تاسو نه دا ده که دا ته ووایي چې تاسو د دې مخکې اسلام آباد ته تللي وئ او د هغه ځای راغلی دلته هند ته، که څه هم دا یو واضح او معلومه مشخصه خبره ده او دریځ هم معلوم دی. د هند او د پاکستان ترمنځ هغه ډول چې ټولو ته معلومه ده اړیکې ډېرې ښې نه دي. څه فکر کوئ په اسلام آباد کې تاسو ته سره د افغانستان د سولې اړوند زیاتې ژمنې وسولې چې همکاري به کوي. د تاسو سفر له اسلام آباد وروسته هند ته آیا فکر نه کوئ چې د پاکستان په ژمنو باندې به تاثیر ولري یو او که دا راته ووایي چې د دې وروسته کومو هېوادونو ته چې تاسو ځئ له هغوی سره مو مخکې له مخکې خبرې کړې دي او د هغوی نظریات د تاسو لیده کاته ورسره د افغانستان د سولې اړوند څومره مهمه دي او څومره اغېز کولی شي د افغانستان کې د تاوتریخوالي پای ته؟ مننه.
Thank you very much. So that makes 3 questions.
Yes.
Time permitting, we'll do one more round. Don't want to disappoint the ones that are still left out. Over to you, sir.
Okay. On the before getting to the last 3 questions, there was part of the question earlier that what is the inter-ethnic relations of the people of Afghanistan and the I mentioned in my introductory remarks that it is multi-ethnic, multilingual, linguistic society, pluralistic system will address the interest of all the people of Afghanistan. But there is one concept for separation or something like that, and based on our own socio.
What you might.
The question was that unhealthy competitions in the region exist, And how do you think that within this sort of unhealthy environment, how can Afghanistan find its own way forward? جواب به سوال بچه سالم رقابت د سیمې ګټه په ښه طریقه په دغه هکله مثبت تغییر وشو. The other question was in regards to my trip to Pakistan, which I have talked about it extensively, about what I witnessed. Whether that trip will have an impact here, or the trip here will have a reverse impact on the commitment of the other country which I had visited, the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. باید بگویم که پیشتر هم یادآوری کردم که روابط کشورها بین خودشان مربوط به خود کشورها میشه. ما خواستار روابط دوستانه با همه کشورها هستیم و در این حال از توقع ما است که وضعیت افغانستان و شرایط افغانستان درک شود. ما ضرورت به همکاری همه داریم. ما فکر نمی کنم که این بخش کار افغانستان که بخش از تمثیل اهداف ملی و منافع ملی ما است، این ما بتانیم تابعی که چه نوع تبصره میشه. من این روحیه هم در روز هم ندیدم. اونا آگاهی داشتن از سفر کشور هند و یک قسم روحیه در ایج هم وجود نداره. افغانستان و جریانی که در کشور ما هست، هر کشور منفی هم متاثر شده میتونه از او و مثبت هم متاثر شده میتونه و ما منافع ملی خود در بهبود روابط بر اساس احترام متقابل با همه میدانیم و در این مسیر کار کردیم. Brief answer to that question was that we pursue our national interest and we need better relations with all countries in addressing the challenges that we are faced in our relations with any country. And of course, it's not our duty to decide for any country for their own relations in between themselves. That's not our position. Or well, at the same time, we have no doubt in our mind that peace in Afghanistan is in the interest of everybody. Everybody can help one way or another, more, less, but being here in India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, before noon, we had a very good meeting, and said whatever settlement which is acceptable for the people of Afghanistan, we are supportive. So there is no self-interest. And self-interest is in a peaceful Afghanistan, in an Afghanistan which is democratic and respects its own people's rights, at the same time does not harbor any terrorist group. That's the bottom line, and that is what we expect from countries to station.
I hope I satisfied the last batch of questioners. I will take one round, maybe perhaps. Would you permit one more round of questions? Yes. We are short of time.
And then our own for our Afghan journalists, I will have plenty of time to talk to them later on as well. But
so I will then
you're
turn
welcome
to,
if they want.
with your permission, Excellency, I will turn to Ms. Zainab from our institute. Zainab, the floor is yours.
Good evening, sir. My question to you would be, would you consider Taliban, really consider Taliban a non-terrorist group, especially when Taliban consider the distinction sort of do you really expect any constructive
that part of it, especially that?
Especially when Taliban considered the distinction, like the group, reconciliation group, kind of a puppet. So do you really expect any constructive outcome from your negotiations? Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab. Yes, please. Please, gentlemen, we have limited time. Please introduce yourself, your affiliation, and brief question.
Sir, I'm Colonel Shailendra Singh.
Mike, please. Mike.
Jain sir, I'm Colonel Shailendra Singh. I wish, sir, you could allow me to ask this question in Hindi because probably what the Afghanis spoke we couldn't understand. But I have a very beautiful background that 99% of the students in India, and especially in Delhi, they prefer to speak in Hindi, sir. That's the kind of social affiliation we have.
Question.
I'll come to the question, sir. You have, sir, already narrated that how India has contributed towards the development of Afghanistan. But somehow we have missed out on contributing towards this peace talk. I only want to know from you, sir, your view, because last year when Hamid Karzai, sir, was here, he said he wished to see India a leading role in this peace talk. Having now 1.5 years gone, what is your opinion on it, sir? That what could have been a better role for India to play?
Thank you. I've taken two now, Zainab plus you, Colonel Shailendra, so third one. Well, I'll take four this time. I'll come to you. You there, please. Introduce yourself.
Hi, sir. Siddhant from Beyond. One question. How do you see
Beyond a news channel.
I know.
So, how do you see China's role in the entire Afghan peace process?
Thank you. That's you kept your word there. Brief question. Dr. Adil Rashid from our institute. He's head of our counter terrorism, counter radicalization, and terror finance center.
Easy job.
Well, it's easy because it's a newly formed center.
Okay.
But as the going gets tough, the tough will get going too.
Hopefully, sir. I just wanted to know, it seems that it's a very a neighborhood which Afghanistan has, with the exception of India, where we don't have very good examples of liberalism and democracy around. And with the withdrawal of US presence, there is a sense of unease that probably liberalism and liberal forces, liberal governments, their presence or their influence in the region, once US withdraws, would not be that powerful, and probably the disturbed neighborhood would become more influential. So I'm just asking your views on that.
Thank you. Over to you, Your Excellency.
Thank you. One question from, or part of one question from earlier part I may refer to U.S. troop withdrawal from Afghanistan. If you're referring to today's tweet, this morning's tweet from President Trump, it takes a little bit time for us to digest it and to find out to the extent that it refers to the numbers, to the timing, and to the whole thing. But there is no doubt that November, part of that withdrawal will be completed. That's what we are aware of that, and that's what the U.S. military on the ground was making preparations, and some number would have been left beyond that. So that is as far as I can say at this moment. But eventually, we as Afghans, we should be prepared for any eventuality, and there is no doubt that there will be consequences by the decisions made by international partners altogether. But it is our responsibility to work together and find a way to live in peace within and without. That's the point. That's why we are there in Doha to pursue the talks. In regards to the question by Madame Zainab, whether what to call the Taliban, have they committed terrorist actions or not? We all have seen what has happened in Afghanistan in the past 20 years or before that. what is important for us, what sort of a future we want to have. A future which is peaceful and inclusive, peaceful settlement without anybody resorting to terrorist actions or helping terrorist groups or allowing terrorist groups in our soil. That is what we are aimed at. Things which have happened in Afghanistan, the suffering of our people as a result of those things are not secret to anybody. But we are looking forward towards a situation where the people of Afghanistan, or the dreams of the people of Afghanistan, which is a peaceful settlement of the situation, is materialized. And once again, if it happens that the United, and it will happen one day, of course, in Afghanistan should be able to stand on its own feet. But if it is premature, it will have its consequences if those other conditions attached to their withdrawal perspective are not met. For example, if the terrorist groups like Al Qaeda continue to pose a threat against the people of Afghanistan, or ISIS and the others, there will be consequences as a result of that. But we will do whatever in our hands, and as the people of that country, to address the challenges that we may face, and which might be at times very difficult to address. But the nation wants peaceful settlement in Afghanistan, free of terror, and the rights of its own people preserved. And our people have made big sacrifices towards that. That is what we desire and what we need to achieve, and not the continuation of the agony of the people in any side who opt for that, for the continuation or attributes to the continuation of the war. They are taking a huge responsibility. But eventually, there has to be a peaceful settlement. I think even the microphone says to us that we are coming towards the end of our Q&A. And the role of China has been supportive of the peaceful effort altogether. And that's as far as I can say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. You have given us wise words. You have spoken from the heart, and you've left everybody with great hope and expectation as to a very stable and bright future for the people of Afghanistan. I also think that you have spoken on behalf of all the people of Afghanistan, and that is a tribute to your sagacity and wisdom. Thank you very much indeed for so patiently taking on all the numerous questions that were addressed to you in the Q&A session. Thank you once again.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Director General, for moderating. Proceed to a short presentation ceremony. I request Ambassador Sujan Chinoy to kindly present His Excellency Dr. Abdullah with the Institute's memento and a set of our publications.
There are many books, but I will simply pull out a couple of them, partly because it also has my name.
Okay, good. As you know, but it's there is a book. We know from your background that you, because of your interest to Afghanistan, you know our languages, so it's in Farsi, but it has translation, English translation, and this is, in fact, a poetry book, selected poetries, which in each page there is one subject, and all the poetries are related to that subject. For example, this one is on the honesty in truth, like 13 verses from different poets and Persian poets from 8 centuries back up to the last century on the same subject. So every page is on one subject, and then I have the original of this, which is a family collection, calligraphed, but then I got it printed and published. It has my name somewhere, but it's only to get it translated. But the credit goes to the calligrapher and to my late uncle who had selected all these poetries. So, there you can see the wisdom in rich ideas, which is all for tolerance, for peaceful coexistence, for understanding one another, accepting one another, and liking one another, and all that. So that I thought that based on the subject of our discussions, I would leave this one to yourself.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Now I take the opportunity to request Major General Bipin Bakshi, the Deputy Director General of our institute, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Shruti. Your Excellency, Dr. Abdullah, Ambassador Sujan Chinoy, RDG, distinguished delegates from Afghanistan on the left, our esteemed representatives of the Executive Council, friends from the media from both the countries, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and our uniformed forces of the Indian Armed Forces, the representatives are also here. On behalf of the team of MP IDSA, it is my proud privilege to propose this vote of thanks for this very important occasion, which happens to be our first major international event in the post-COVID world. So we will always remember this great day, sir. At the outset, I would like to express my profound thanks to Your Excellency for a very lucid and comprehensive account of the process of reconciliation being attempted in Afghanistan. As friends of the Afghani people, we are watching this entire process with great interest, and our best wishes are always with the people of Afghanistan and with you, sir, who have been given this onerous task of moving through a minefield of multiple interests. We are grateful, sir, that you would find time from a busy schedule and honor us with your presence here and to share your thoughts with us. I'd like to thank the MEA, particularly the PI division, who helped to coordinate this particular address, and the HCNR staff who worked with us for the smooth coordination. The Delhi police and other security agencies also deserve a big hand for having ensured the foolproof security for this event despite the very short notice. And they came and struck the institute very fast and made sure everything was done in very good order. I want to thank our DG, sir, who conceptualized this entire event and changing it from a smaller to a more involved event, which I'm sure everyone has enjoyed. I'll thank the South Asia Center at MPIDSA, Dr. Behuria, who has done the coordination, our Assistant Director, Colonel Agarwal, and his team of the conference cell and the administrative staff, the young team of volunteers who helped to usher people, and last but not the least, the entire participants here who have made it so lively, so interactive, and so successful. So long live the Indo-Afghan friendship. Az didan shuma khushbaktan. Khali mamnoon. Shabba khair. Thank you once again.
That is
Thank you very much, Jen Bakshi, and thank you so much, Your Excellency, for taking out the time to be here. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to the end of the program. Thank you very much for joining us here today and for your participation. May I request you to please remain seated until the delegation from Afghanistan leaves the auditorium. Once again, thank you very much for joining us, and we wish you the best of health. Thank you very much.